Modern business is about agile and flexible collaborations. I mean, I'm less worried about tools as opposed to the propensity. You know, don't be constrained by the area that your organisation covers. It's who you've got to collaborate with and work with to deliver certain, of your ambitions. They can be very complex, matrices, but that's what you've got. It's behaviour, and I certainly think there are plenty of opportunities for Greater Manchester to provide a lot of services to areas and regions that are outside our area, and vice versa.
I think the first is there is a real tension, I think, in the narrative of government at the moment. On the one hand, they want to create the conditions for growth and drive private sector employment. Yet on the other hand, they're also saying that funding, to the extent it is available, is going to be there to compensate those places who are losing significant amounts of public sector jobs. The places that are going to drive private sector growth, frankly, are places like Manchester, Greater Manchester, possibly Leeds, elsewhere, and what that means really is you've got to be backing success. Otherwise, we are not going to be creating the jobs that we need to if the north of England is going to move forward. So I think there is a tension there which needs to be rationalised.
I think we will see a level of sort of natural competition between LEPs, and I think that's going to be there. That's inherited in the structure that the government are driving down. But it needs to be sort of controlled competition and not get out of hand. So at the same time, we will need and expect, I think, LEPs to actually cooperate and work together and then liaise on a sort of a larger family basis, and maybe even closely liaise with each other on particular major schemes. So I think there's a bit of a tension there between competition on the one hand and cooperation on the other hand. But I think that we'll just have to find a natural balance over time.
The public and private sectors do not exist in isolation of each other. And that large-scale economic activity doesn't always obey geographic boundaries. Both of those givens, I think, put Manchester, with its maturity and its heritage, in the best position in the UK to make this work from a combined authority and a LEP perspective, with a view to attracting investment from RGFs as but one of many funding mechanisms. I also think that as a look ahead, those two economic realities could drive the future of LEPs into uncharted seas. They are what they are right now, and they will be what they will be because of combined authorities like Greater Manchester and hard private sector input, driving the construct of these LEPs to perhaps reflect less of the geographic boundaries which they currently adopt, and more of the boundaries of the true economic activity that might straddle perhaps Merseyside and Greater Manchester.
So I think much economic activity will sit within a LEP boundary, but there'll be crucial areas, and I think supply chain is one. With our interests in ports, we see this. Many of our customers coming through the port are actually located in Greater Manchester. I think that's an area where you do need a different toolkit because the geography is different. And I think that's anticipated in the government's local growth white paper. It anticipates there will be areas for LEPs to work together. Indeed, in all the three LEPs covering the Atlantic Gateway area, they all make reference to international trade. That's where we can bring the costs for business down and make manufacturing Greater Manchester more competitive. So I think there'll be areas that lie within boundaries. There'll be areas which are without boundaries where people will come together to work to pursue a common and joint objective.
We're guilty in this country of thinking that we're competing against one another. We're not. We're actually competing with the rest of the world. And if you look around the world at what successful economies are doing, they are creating fantastic environments. And those environments have first-class infrastructure. They have fantastic digital infrastructure. They have fantastic transport infrastructure. But above all, they've got talent because they ploughed an enormous amount into skill development. And skill development is crucial. You know, for many of the companies that we're going to be looking to entice to come to Greater Manchester or to expand within Greater Manchester, they need talent. And they are footloose and fancy-free. They can go anywhere in the world.
We are creating a marketplace in the LEP. And it's about who's participating, who's investing, who's got the energy and the entrepreneurialism to contribute and collaborate with partners either at the front end of the process or at the back end of their organisation processes. And I think that will span geography over time.